Hi, and welcome to this episode of Your Future, Your Finances. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn. In this show, we interview a variety of experts on the topics of personal finance, personal growth, and current events both locally and nationally. In this first segment, we're speaking with Mr. Rob Brown of ForBookLoversOnly.com on the topic of succeeding as an author. Welcome to the show.
Brian, thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. So tell us a little about yourself. You began your career as an attorney, but transitioned into the world of books.
Absolutely. That occurred around 2007, 2008 with the economic downturn. I was a staff attorney at a firm in downtown D.C. Unfortunately, that firm had some cutbacks. I found myself looking for other opportunities. Fast forward about a year, I started a company called Precision Script, and it did copy editing and proofreading because it was something that I had done before, and it was something that I was really good at. Had some trouble getting some clients, had clients here and there, but decided I wanted to take my business in a different direction. Instead of just copy editing and proofing work, I wanted to actually promote authors, bridge the gap between authors and book lovers, and For Book Lovers Only was born shortly thereafter.
Succeeding as an author is certainly not something easy to do. So,
oh, absolutely.
What is ForBookLoversOnly.com?
It is a website that I designed, which once again is it bridges the gap between authors and book lovers. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to introduce book lovers to new talented authors that they otherwise might not know about if, let's say, they just do a random search on Amazon or, let's say, another site. I really want to spotlight authors on my website and give them an opportunity to present themselves to a new sea of book lovers that might be in a position to purchase their book.
The visitors watching this show who is an author or trying to succeed as an author, what do you think are some tips for them to help succeed?
Well, first of all, just being an author, that takes a lot of courage to sit down and write and present it to the world. So I applaud them for that. They can educate themselves about the process. One of the things that they really want to do is they want to educate themselves about the difference between traditional publishing and self-publishing. Because through traditional publishing, you write a book proposal, query letters, find a literary agent that will present you to a publishing house. Or you can do the self-publishing route where you kind of do everything yourself. You draft your own manuscript, you hire your own editor, you're in charge of manufacturing and distribution and marketing. Now, this requires a lot more work on your end. But as the author, there are a lot of authors like myself who prefer to have everything, have more control and more autonomy over the process. So that's one of the things that an author can do is basically educate themselves between, traditional publishing, self-publishing, and what's the best option for themselves.
And it seems like that's the direction that publishing is going in, self-publishing.
Very much so, because once again, I don't want to disparage traditional publishing. Obviously that's a great route to go, but some people don't really want to do that. Some people just I don't feel like I should have to draft a query letter. I don't feel like I should have to get a literary agent. Nothing wrong with that, but some people, like I say, they want the autonomy for themselves to kind of handle the process. And another thing for self-publishing, if you self-publish your books, since you've done it yourself, you get to keep all the profits.
Yeah.
So,
what are some of the things you enjoy about working with authors?
I love authors in that, at being an author myself and writing my first book that we can talk about later, I just think that authors are the ultimate in artistry. I mean, they are responsible for, architecting these masterpieces that stay with us for a lifetime. And I just really love the written word. I have some authors that that I follow, some of my favorite authors, and it's just something that I knew that I always wanted to be a larger part of my life. So.
So as part of your consulting for them, as I understand, you do a TV show and radio program yourself?
Absolutely, for Book Lovers Only Live Radio and for Book Lovers Only Television. And basically, we give authors an opportunity to talk about their writing process, the character development, what was their inspiration behind becoming an author in the first place, who's their ideal reader, how can people follow them on social media. I mean, we really give the author the spotlight to present themselves to the world, to people who may already know them, and for people that are learning about them for the first time.
A lot of people.
In preparation for this segment, we talked about an acronym that you have, CAPTAR, C-A-P-T-A-R. What does that stand for?
CAPTAR is kind of like my own personal philosophy for how I govern all of my relationships, both personal and professional. And it's an acronym, and it stands for communication, and I'll go over each one: communication, action, precision, truth, accountability, and respect. And I know that's a mouthful, but for me, communication is everything. I think that's probably the root cause of all the problems that we have in the world today, is because people don't really know how to communicate effectively. So you want to communicate. Action, you can't really get a lot done if you don't take action. I think there's a common phrase people say, knowledge is power. I disagree with that. Knowledge in action is power. If you just have the knowledge in your head, you're not doing anything with it. You're not very effective. But if you're taking that knowledge and you're implementing it towards some future goal, then that's where the rubber really meets the road. Precision, I'm all about attention to detail. That's one of the reasons why I started Precision Script a few years ago in the first place. Precision, attention to detail, I mean, you really have to, dot every I and cross every T. Truth, you want to be truthful in everything that you do, because your reputation precedes you, and that's kind of what you build your reputation on, is truth. Accountability, I think a lot of people, they talk about accountability in the respect of we need to hold each other accountable. And while that's all fine and good, I'm more about, when I say accountability, I mean self-accountability. One of the people that I follow on social media is a gentleman by the name of David Goggins. He's absolutely a phenomenal human being. If you've never heard of him, definitely Google him. But one of the things that he talks about is the accountability mirror, looking in the mirror and really holding yourself accountable. So when I talk about accountability and CAPTAR, what I'm talking about is self-accountability. And respect, treating everyone with the respect that you would want to be treated with. That basically is CAPTAR in a nutshell.
You're also working on a book yourself in
Yes.
the business world. Tell us about your progress there.
It's slow, which is kind of by design. I don't want to rush through this, because I really feel like I have something, one, important to say, and two, that's really going to serve people who are going to read this book. The name of the book is called No Business Cards Allowed, and it is specifically about networking. It specifically talks about some of the problems and the issues that there are out there in the networking world. I'm sure you've done this before. You go to a cocktail party, you exchange some smiles with people, you shake some hands, exchange business cards, and then kind of nothing happens after that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the reason behind that is because people don't kind of go in with a game plan. They don't have a goal. They're just kind of there to get some business cards, give out some business cards, and just kind of hope for the best. This book really kind of addresses that. It talks about specific things that you can do as a business professional, as a sales professional, to do better in the networking world. I think it's called the 96-hour rule, the 4 C's of effective networking, a lot of different things that I teach in the book that's going to help people become much more effective networkers. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay, great. Well, appreciate coming on. How can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me online. You can go to forbookloversonly.com. That's the website. If you're a book lover, you can join for free. Doesn't cost you a penny. We're going to be having some contests. We're going to be giving out free books, tote bags, coffee mugs, those types of things. You can go there. You can email me directly if you have a question about kind of like the book industry in general. Rob@forbookloversonly.com. That's ROB@forbookloversonly.com. And we're on social media. We have Facebook pages, groups. You can just type in For Book Lovers Only. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and you can just reach out to us, and we'd love to have you part of the For Book Lovers Only family.
Fantastic. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. That does it for this segment. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn. We'll be right back with Your Future, Your Finances.
For history, entertainment, great shopping and dining, Laurel's historic downtown Main Street is where you'll find it. The iconic Laurel Railroad Station is an important part of the community that preserves Laurel history. Catch a glimpse of both the historic train stop on the East End and the mill houses on the West End during the Laurel Walking Tour. And be sure to stop at the Laurel Museum, which is open for tours. Every May, large crowds fill downtown Laurel for the popular Main Street Festival. Great food, music, and even greater company are what guests come back to year after year. However, Main Street is something to be enjoyed every day of the year. With numerous boutiques and gift shops, that won't be hard to do. Stroll down Laurel's historic.
Hi, and welcome back. You're watching Your Future, Your Finances. In this segment, we continue the theme of entrepreneurship. We have all heard it said that every entrepreneur should have a good accountant and a good attorney. But once you have a good accountant, how should you best be using their skill set to help your business flourish? With me today is Adrian Simmons, Chief Creative Designer at Element CPA. And we're going to cover 5 ways business owners can best leverage their accountants. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Great to be here.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about the role accountants work with entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I like to think as entrepreneurs as the engine room of their enterprise. They're the one with the vision and the courage to sort of achieve the vision that they have. And if they're smart entrepreneurs, though, they'll assemble around themselves a great team that can help to leverage and amplify what they do. One of the members on that team is an accountant, and the accountant really has 2 roles, in my opinion, to help that entrepreneur. The first one is to help them account for their numbers. That's things like helping them track their money flow so they can see if it's working and how it's working, to be able to present that to different people that may need it, be it a bank, be it the government for tax purposes, and do it all simply and timely. So that's accounting for the numbers, but there's really a second role I think accountants play for entrepreneurs, and that's to help them account for their aims. So business is more than just numbers. It's much bigger than numbers. Normally entrepreneurs, when they get involved in an entity, it's for impact, it's to be able to achieve something also for their family, for their community. And an accountant can help an entrepreneur to clarify what that is and to be able to see if they actually are having that impact and moving along the path and direction that they really envision for themselves. So those 2 roles, accounting for numbers and accounting for aims, are how an accountant can help an entrepreneur.
So you have some examples of how business owners can benefit from working with accountants. You have 5 of them that you've brought today. We'll list them off so you can share those with us.
Sure.
Vetting ideas from the business or financial perspective.
Yeah, so one thing that is a trap that sometimes entrepreneurs fall into is sort of doing something and then after the fact having the conversation with the accountant. But really, the accountants should be ones that can be in on the front end of those conversations. So if you're thinking about doing something new, thinking about sort of changing a part of your business, talk those ideas through with your accountant, because they can help you identify, all right, are some things to be done differently? Are there some pitfalls to avoid? Just a sounding board, just good sound advice. But doing it at the front end is really what's going to make the difference and be more effective than when you actually go to take that action.
Yeah. Number 2, you have setting up financial systems and workflows.
Yeah, so again, here's not done well. The administrivia of running a business can really quickly bog you down and hamper your progress. But your accountant is somebody you can turn to help you put into place, financial systems software that can automate a lot. Especially in the last 5 to 7 years, the financial technology sector have really exploded and put a lot of great tools in the hands of small business entrepreneurs and even mid-size. So things like payroll, where you can simply, from a website, hit pay, it's going to pay the taxes, file the forms. You don't have to think about it. Things like online accounting systems, for instance, we use Xero, X-E-R-O, that allows you to automatically connect to your bank account, auto-reconcile transactions, digitizing your receipt flows. These are all things that historically would have been just a big bummer, but now they can be automated and also give you real-time information. Your accountant can help you get those into place for your business.
Understanding business performance and success drivers, number 3.
Yeah, here's another one that if not done well, you sort of look at your numbers at the end of the year and say, well, that didn't go too good. Maybe we'll do it different this year. But instead, we want to move that with your accountant further up the chain and say, hey, throughout the year, you really should be taking a look at your financial figures and getting a feel for what are the real drivers of success for my business. Every business and every industry is going to be different in terms of what's the critical thing to be keeping your eye on. So knowing what those things are for your business and having a way to simply keep your finger on that pulse means that you're not figuring out something's going off the rails 12 months after it happens. You're being able to see it and react to it and adapt over the course of the year. And again, that's where your accountant can really help you get that information, interpret the information, and form the decisions to continue to grow your business.
Then we have number 4. This is more a traditional one, perhaps, save and de-stressing on taxes.
Yeah, exactly. So for many entrepreneurs, there's the excitement of running their business, walking into their accountant's office at the end of the year and finding out how much they owe in taxes is not the fun part.
No.
But we can change that model to say, hey, because we now have the ability of real-time financial systems, we can forecast into the future, we can let you know what your tax is going to be, and then you can be sure that you're setting aside the estimated taxes each quarter during the year. And at the end of the year, the taxes is a known entity. Maybe it moves by $1,000 here or there, but you've stripped a lot of that stress, a lot of that dread from the process. So there's that part of it, and there's also just making sure you have a good business tax structure that fits the type of business you have, and that you've claimed the deductions. Like at the end of last year, a huge tax law got passed. The types of questions your accountant can help you answer is, what things impact me, what things can I take advantage of now that are available to me, so that you find these things out when they happen ahead of time, save some money, save some stress, use that money and energy for something else.
Yeah, you mentioned the tax legislation. Any comments you want to make on that since it affects so many people? Feel free.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive piece of legislation. Some of the maybe key areas we're seeing impacting folks is business tax structures. A lot of businesses migrate towards an S-Corp for tax purposes, and many of your viewers probably have heard of that. Under the new law, the S-Corp may or may not really be the best tax entity, and it's a case-by-case calculation because of how the new law works. So you can run that scenario with your accountant, sort of say, hey, should I stay as a Schedule C? Should I be an S-Corp? Should I be a C-Corp? And know under the new law which is really more advantageous for you. One of the other big things under the new law for business owners is the 20% business deduction. And this is, for most businesses out there, whatever your business income is, you can multiply it by 20% and subtract it as a deduction. Obviously, that's a huge savings.
Yeah.
There are some caveats, so it's important to understand whether or not they apply. But again, you can free up that money, reinvest it in the business, increase compensation, buy some new equipment, expand, spend it on marketing, whatever it may be. But your accountant, again, can help you figure that out.
Yeah. And then heading back to the list, so the last tip of the 5, clarifying the direction the business is heading in.
Yeah. So a lot of the tips I've mentioned so far are accountants acting as business advisors. But there's a number of accountants out there that also act as business coaches or a form of business coach. And that's important to have that conversation because sometimes it's very easy as an entrepreneur to fall into a little bit of isolation. You're sort of at the top, you're by yourself, you've got lots of ideas running around in your head. Sometimes you're getting lost. Sometimes you want to do 15 million things at once and you can't, and so you're just sort of running in circles, chasing your own tail, or again, just feeling like you don't have somebody to connect with. Your accountant can really be somebody that helps you talk that out. Sometimes just saying that out loud helps you to see it and understand it better. And then clarify, okay, hey, what really is the key areas I need to focus my energy on for the next 90 days, for the next 12 months? And also what areas are maybe draining energy that you shouldn't be doing. Sometimes what you shouldn't be doing is just as important as what you should be doing. These, again, are conversations that you can have with your accountant to help you do that, and then be sort of charged up to go out and do that because you're sort of freed from the echo chamber of your own mind.
Yeah. And for viewers watching, we're talking about business owners, but I guess self-employed people probably, this tracking and what's deductible and what's not probably applies everything as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these same principles apply depending on the scale of your business. You could be a sole operator. You still need to choose your business tax entity. You still need to figure out what you can deduct and what things are healthy for you. You may not need the full depth of everything, but you still have the same basic questions to answer.
All right, very good.
Great.
Well, based right here in Laurel, how can people find you?
Sure. We're located on Main Street here in Laurel, and you can find us online at elementscpa.com, and that same handle is our Twitter and Facebook, so twitter.com/elementscpa or facebook.com.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Thanks very much for appearing.
You're welcome.
That does it for this segment. We've run out of time. You're watching Your Future, Your Finances, and we hope you have some takeaways. I'm your host, Brian Kuhn, and if you have any questions for the show or one of the guests, you may contact me at bkuhn, B-K-U-H-N, at psgclarity.com. Lastly, as always, a thank you to Laurel TV for their production and airing of this segment. You can watch the show every Sunday at 10 a.m. on Comcast Channel 71 and 996 for HD, and Verizon Channel 12, or on the live stream at laureltv.org. See you next time.